So first thing I'm going to do is divide this into chunks. So I'm looking at the light, those stand out where the contrast is. So I'm going to look at those lines and I'm going to use your pencil to figure out the angles of things. This one comes in towards there. This one's next to it, kind of. There's this one over here, kind of comes out like that. And these are like chunks. Actually, let me make these thicker. Make this one thicker. Comes out. There's another one right here. That one. Just that one there. All right, kind of got some sections here. Okay, so then I'm gonna go section by section and start putting in some of the darks. I'll look for the darkest darks and start with my first layer. So like always, I'm doing like a three passes through. I'll start with my first layer of plotting out where the darks are gonna go. And I'm just gonna go one chunk at a time. And then I'll go back in and I'll start deepening some of my darks. Maybe adding some of the lighter values in there. So that is the plan. So let's see how this goes. So I have my first layer of like darks, mediums, but I can say that I just got lost a little bit in there. So it does start to get a little confusing with all these different lines and sections. So I suggest that if that happens to you, if you like start to figure like, oh my God, where am I in this drawing? There's too many lines and things everywhere. Switch to a different spot or go back to another spot. So like once I get up here, I started getting confused. And I think I was just like overload of lines and stuff. So what I would do is come back to another section that I just already done and find my place in that first. And then once I get oriented, then I can come back over here and finish up where, you know, I'm looking at the lights and darks. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on going here. I'm starting to add in, now I'm gonna go in for some deeper darks and more of the texture of the lines. So now a couple things about this drawing. The layering thing is really key because there's a lot of layering in the hairs. So starting out light and then building up darks is really gonna work well for this. So the last thing I'm gonna do is really put in some of those darkest darks and look at my lights and notice that the whole thing is not totally, like this whole section here is not all light. It gets light, and then so now I could go in with my eraser, but I'm noticing that the light's hitting it only in like certain sections. So I could brighten it up by erasing out some of those highlights. And the rest of it could be, you know, shaded in, like up in here, it's not all light. So to shade that in a bit. And then I see where the dark is. So it's kind of like just going back and forth and picking out your lights and putting in darker darks. But the other thing is that it may look to you like a mess of lines and stuff because it's super abstract looking. But what I would say is take photos of it and step away from it as you're working on it, because when you step away from it, it really starts to look like hair. But when you're really up close to it, it looks like a bunch of line mess. So just, you know, I'm always trying to reinforce that you step away from your work to get perspective on it. So do that, try that. And I'm just gonna finish this up, and I'm gonna try curly hair next. So that will be, you know, a whole different, same approach, but just different shapes. All right, cool. Have fun. Okay, so here's the part where to really make this look even better. I hate using the word pop because it's just like, but it will make some things, I bring in more contrast and it'll make things pop. It'll bring more dimension to the drawing. So I'm gonna go in, now I'm gonna really, now I've got everything mapped out. I'm not gonna erase any dark areas so I can make things even darker, because I'm set on this drawing and I'm just like really solidifying it. So now I'm gonna go in and see how I'm holding the pencil. When I started, I just was doing, you know, holding it back and shading. And then once I got further into it, I start, you know, just holding the pencil a little tighter, a little closer. But here now I can really press hard and get some of these darks in there. And this is always, when you're doing a drawing, when you're doing realism, this is the way to go, is to always do your darkest darks very last and just get that contrast. That's how you really make it look like real life. And then if I need to, I can go back and like bring out some of my highlights. And these parts, some of these parts are not quite white. And that's one more thing that I just wanted to mention. I don't want to forget to say that if you squint at this as if you're looking into a really bright light, but squint, you start to see where the darkest darks go and the lightest lights. And then you squint at it and you'll see those shapes where you need to put your darks and where you need to erase out for highlights. If I squint right now, that's what I can see is these parts here, this right here, this over here, this part of this. And the highlights, because I've been going so light on stuff, they're easy to bring out. All right. So, and really, it doesn't matter what you're drawing, something as simple as this. It's the process of making the art that's so interesting. It's not what you're drawing, it's how you're drawing it. I remember being told that when I was in college. And because I was always like, oh my God, what am I gonna draw? I don't even know. It's gotta be so interesting and so profound. And my teacher said, it's not what you're drawing, it's how you're doing it and how you're, thinking about it. That's what's interesting. So, and that you're actually doing it in the process of drawing or whatever you're making is what it's all about, really. And having fun with it, because that is the most important thing here, is that you're enjoying your process. All right, so there it is.